Okay, I'll get started for now. Welcome back, everybody. Just a couple quick announcements for this week. In case you were not aware, next week is spring break, so don't show up in here. We will not be here. We will not have a meeting. So I hope everyone has a nice break. We'll be back on the 25th for our next meeting. Additionally, again, said this a couple times, but if you guys ever have like a concept or like an idea that you really want us to talk about, or like you want to like kind of try to pitch yourself, let us, one of us execs know. We'd be more than happy to let you guys do that. Additionally, do have finally made the Game Jam flyer. Again, that's going to be at Bessie 220 or 2226 on April 10th. Don't forget to swing by for that. It'll be a good time. Yeah, we'll have food and prizes. Just saying, like, it's worth participating. If only like, two people show up, you got a 50-50 shot winning first place. So
true, and then even if you don't win first place, you get second place.
that is true.
Three places.
Yeah, I mean, I would say show up regardless, but anyway, on to the actual like main topic of the meeting, case studies. If you guys haven't made or if you have made your slides, I should say, please make sure to post those in the meeting chat. I'll just download those onto my laptop and we'll just kind of like talk about them from there, or like let you guys present off my computer. Unless anyone like is like really like, I want to go first. Do we have any volunteers? If not, I will go, but okay. Fine. Twist my arm. Okay. Time for me to yap about Bloodborne for a little bit because I just finished that game. Okay. Here we go. Main thing I want to kind of cover with Bloodborne is I think it has really strong level design. Personally, one of my favorite games. I actually recently just finished it for the first time, and I'm like, this shit good. Question you might be asking is, what the hell is a Bloodborne? And that's a reasonable question. Of course, that's my hunter over there. That's like you play as a hunter essentially. Not in a literal sense. You're not going for deer. You're going for crazy beasts and shit. Essentially, there's a blood moon, and that comes whenever the blood moon pulls up. A bunch of people start turning into beasts for some reason, and you kind of gotta figure that out, and also hunt the beasts because the beasts are bad. Also, there may be occasional eldritch horrors involved, stuff like that. You don't really know what's going on. That's kind of the fun part. You also do get a gun, so you get to shoot like Cthulhu with a gun. That's kind of fun. But I am going to preface something real quick. This game is really hard, and a lot of time it's really unforgiving. A lot of times, the bosses are quite hard too, but even just like traversing the general area, it's very like hostile. You're kind of like fighting for your life essentially in like 90% of the like game essentially. There's also like this really like pretty interconnected, pretty complex like map that the world takes place in. It's really like compacted in. There's a lot of like different like layers and stuff. There's a lot of these like weird little like areas you can just stumble upon. There's a whole ass like just kind of like optional regions that you can kind of find that like you can kind of just go to for not really fun, but there's stuff you can find there, but they're essentially just kind of there, and the game doesn't really like need you to go there, which is kind of neat. The question is though, there's all these like real complex gameplay mechanics. It's a very fast-paced game. You're kind of like dodging and weaving around enemy attacks. You're trying to like whip around your cool trick weapons, which are these like weapons where it's like, oh yeah, you can have it be like a sword, or you can have it be like a fancy sword on a hinge, and stuff like that. And that's all fine and dandy, but it's like, oh my gosh, for a player, that's like a whole lot to kind of like take in at once. My main kind of like point essentially is like, how is like FromSoft gonna make this really complex, really like overwhelming world a lot more manageable for the player? And in my eyes, there's kind of one key like area that they utilize to like help make this more like navigable in a sense. That's level design. my favorite example being like shortcuts. So a lot of the time, like after you say like die to like a boss or an enemy or something, you kind of have to like run back. The way that like for a lot of FromSoft games work is when you die, you lose all your like currency that you used to like level up or buy items and stuff. And you can get it back. It's usually either on the ground or something like where you died, or like the enemy that killed you might like have them. And so it's kind of a little bit of challenge of like, hey, you got to play a little safer and you got to make sure you can get back and get your stuff safely. And a lot of the time, like that can be kind of hard. And so the game loves to do shortcuts essentially. So if you're like fighting a boss or something and it's like, oh yeah, I have to walk like, across town essentially to actually like get to this boss that's kind of like I'm giving me trouble. The game tries to kind of give you these little side routes that you can go down that actually give you like essentially faster routes to the checkpoint. There's essentially these limited number of like checkpoints, these little lanterns that you can find, where you can essentially go back to this place called the Hunter's Dream, and you can get like upgrade your like stats and stuff. You can get more weapons, etc. Upgrade your tools, all that stuff. And so being able to like find these shortcuts can really help just make things easier. It really rewards the player for like exploring this world that is like realistically like pretty like compact and like it's not actually that big all things considered, but like it's just so densely packed with things to find and things to do that like you never really are like it's not really, I wouldn't say it's a hard game to get bored in a sense. There's always something to explore. So and it really rewards those type of players who are kind of going through like every nook and cranny and trying to find things. And that kind of goes into my second point of like the game loves to give you items. Of course, every kind of video game likes having their little trinkets that you find and all that. But a lot of the ones in Bloodborne are often meant to like directly help you in the moment. One of my favorite examples is like within the first like 5 minutes of the game, you're like kind of like walking through these streets. There's a bunch of these like kind of crazy people walking around. They have like torches and like weapons and they're trying to attack you. And it's like, why are you doing that? And in a lot of like FromSoft games, it's pretty hard to actually like fight a larger group of enemies, generally just because like it's just a little overwhelming. And so the game actually gives you like just you can find a couple of them around, just pebbles, and you can just take them and just chuck them at one of the enemies, and it'll pull them like or essentially get their attention and they'll start coming towards you. And that's a really great way for the player to like essentially like navigate these big crowds of enemies is to just pull individual ones away. And the game just loves doing this of just putting these items that are like super helpful in the moment if you like just try to like apply how to use them. And I think that like both helps the game just feel more like rewarding to like engross yourself in, as well as just like makes it a lot easier. I mean, like these games are hard, so like having ways for the player to have agency to like make these choices that make it easier is really smart. Because it like keeps it from like feeling like it's like, oh, there's nothing I could do. It's always like, oh, what can I do, sort of thing. So now with a lot of like FromSoft games, people always are like, oh, it's about the bosses, it's about like the big weird guys you fight. And there's actually another good example with this too. So one of like the kind of earlier bosses, I like to give an example, the Bloodstarved Beast. It's not actually like required, but it actually does. It's a little bit challenging for where you find it. It's in a little optional area. And like you can actually make it a lot more like manageable just through a couple different like things. And so some things as a note. So the game by this point has told the player that essentially like any of like the sort of beast type enemies are going to be like weak to fire. Generally just they'll take more damage. Some of them are like kind of like afraid of it. They'll be like, whoa, dude, I'm not so sure about that. So it'll a lot of the time try to give you like things like torches or like different like Molotov, stuff like that. Additionally, the Bloodstarved Beast has this mechanic that like when you're fighting it, essentially like after it hits a certain threshold, it'll like freak out and it'll be like, oh, I'm gonna like poison you essentially when I hit you, which is not great. It's already a very fast-paced game, so having your health go down even quicker is something just adds a little stress, makes it a little harder. But I will also point out the Bloodstarved Beast is blood-starved in Bloodborne, mind you. And it sounds like a smart-ass comment, but it is actually important to this. And it's not just a joke.
Does it want your
Well, maybe. So the game gives you a whole bunch of different items that you can make use of throughout the game. So in addition to your normal like cool ass like trick weapons or like your guns, you can use things like fire paper or Molotov cocktails if you want to do like some more fire damage. There's antidotes, which you're not going to believe this, can help cure your poison. Or like these things called pungent blood cocktails. This is the important one, which essentially for like certain enemies that are like more like beasts and stuff, they'll be attracted to the blood cocktails in the sense that they'll pretty much just ignore you if you throw one down. This is gonna be helpful for later. Another thing that also like a lot of FromSoft games also do is they have like these NPC summons that you can find. A lot of times they can be really helpful. Sometimes not as much, but most of the time it just is another essentially person to kind of help you out. And like I know there's always like the whole elitist thing of like, oh yeah, like you shouldn't use summons and all that. And it's like, who cares, man? Play the game how you want. Like they have them in there to make the game easier. If you want to make the game more like approachable, like I don't think that like a lot of the FromSoft games necessarily need like a difficulty slider or something like that. I think it wouldn't be bad, but I think a lot of the time the game generally rewards like if you are a like less skilled player by playing slower, because they also expect the player to be playing a bit slower. So there's all these different items you can find in the preceding area. So the area you find the Bloodstarved Beast is called Old Yharnam, and essentially like throughout this whole area, there's a bunch of these little like Molotov cocktails, fire paper, blood cocktails, antidotes. You can just find these in the area before you fight the boss. So you don't even have to go out of your way to like find these, as long as you are just engaging with the area, in a sense. You can like be pretty well equipped to fight this boss. And that said, you don't need it either. If you are like a skilled enough player, you can just parry it, or you can just like, dodge everything, and like that's fine and dandy. But in the case that you aren't as like skilled at the game, because this is generally like a pretty still early game area, it might be helpful to find stuff like this. So additionally, a lot of the level layout is also pretty smart. So where is it? I think it's about right over here. I think it lands like here-ish. Essentially, your like lantern or your checkpoints like right about here. Obviously, if you want to get to the boss, which is on the other end, you're gonna have to go all the way around through this like kind of cathedral area. That's a long walk. So why would you do that when you can just essentially go through this little this little ladder here, right to the boss? There is also a checkpoint like right over there too, but just saying, makes it way easier. So you have a couple different options of like how you approach the area too. So there's a few different like routes. So like for example, like up here, there's this little like side path you can go. There's actually funny thing, a guy up here with a machine gun. That's kind of a problem. So you kind of need to figure out also like how to navigate the area in itself. It's not just like simple stroll through Old Yharnam. You have to kind of like have a little bit of intention with how you're going around. Yeah, what's up?
Is the machine gun historically accurate for the time period the game takes place in?
Roughly, yeah. I mean, like, he also is, like, carrying it in his hand, so I guess it's, like, a little bit unrealistic, but you are also going on this route to go fight a giant, like, beast thing, so...
Guns in my fantasy setting, I don't think so.
I mean, I don't know, man. You also, like, can parry the thing with the gun. You can just, like, shoot it while it's attacking you, and it'll be like, oh!
I only play my games for real.
Right, yeah. So, but I think like the game does a really good job of essentially just placing things along your route that are going to help you. So like I can just pull up a little clip real quick. So like this is just the actual game. So like pretty much like right around here, the guy's gonna like walk in the arena. And oh my gosh, that is dark on that screen. Okay, well, essentially like he gets approached by this beast. He's gonna be like, lights up his sword, on fire, by the way, with the fire paper that he found, which not only looks cool as hell, but also, like, does more damage against the thing that's weak to fire. Wow. he also essentially throws down one of those blood cocktails that I mentioned, and the thing's just completely ignoring him right now. He can just attack it for free, pretty much. And if you have enough of them, you can pretty much just like cheese the boss. I don't really say it's cheese because you're not really like exploiting it. You're literally just like using the game mechanics. And this boss is like really helpful because like essentially like when you like beat it, you essentially unlock these sort of like side little dungeon things that you can go to that like help you get more what's called blood echoes, which are essentially just like currency so you can level up more. So beating this boss isn't required, but it's really helpful for getting more experience and being like more equipped for later bosses. So the whole game kind of like just builds up to this sort of like, you know, do a thing. It helps you kind of or explore an area. You can kind of get some stuff to help with the boss. You fight the boss, and then you can kind of progress the game more. So obviously that's like, you know, video game structure in a nutshell. But I think the Bloodborne does a really effective job of not only making the areas visually appealing, but also like generally just not that terrible to navigate. But yeah, pretty much this guy like beats up the guy. He just like stabs him a couple of times, and then that's pretty much it. So and as reminder, it's just not paying attention to him at all because he's just throwing down those like Molotovs. So, but yeah, that's kind of. Oh, it's not gonna let me skip now. Okay. In conclusion, go play Bloodborne. Go buy a PS4, PS5 just to play it. It is literally the best game on the PlayStation. So, also, there's my tier list of all the bosses. That's all. So. Oh yeah, question.
This kind of just seems like a cheap Dark Souls knockoff.
That's because it is actually.
Oh, okay.
Everything's a Dark Souls knockoff. Do you know Mario Kart actually features Dark Souls-like mechanics?
Did you know
No
Cuphead
way.
is Dark Souls?
That is true. That is true.
Toon Souls?
Yeah.
Toon Souls. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got. So. Did you time me?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's 6:18, so I'd assume you kind of went over there a little bit, a lot.
My bad. Okay.
You're
Does anyone
really
else? Okay, we do have a couple in here. Okay. We'll download those. Ben, do you want me to just leave yours on, like, do you want me to download it, or do you?
You don't need to.
Okay. I'll just leave it open on Chrome then. Okay, we'll leave that one up. Then we got Coles. Okay. Does anyone in particular want to go first after me?
I got nothing, so any of you guys can go.
Logan? Okay, sweet. Yours is the Noida one?
Yep.
Okay, sweet.
All right, so my presentation is over Noita. How many of you have played Noita before you? And then how many of you have heard of Noita other than that? Okay. So what is Noita? Here are a lot of screenshots from the game, some of which I got rapidly today in order to make this presentation, that I just found on Discord. Wikislop. It is just Wikislop. Noita has its own wiki very similar to the Terraria wiki. I know that's more popular. Nearly identical. No, but what essentially is a sandbox roguelike with how do I say it? A lot of depth. So there's physics, there's on the top GIF there is alchemy. You could combine liquids and it creates new potions or different potions. I don't know why that's exploding right now, but that happens. Liquid mechanics, that's a lot on the bottom right, and the wand making mechanics. So you could find wands across the map. You could add different spells, add different things. So like, oh, I want to shoot a fireball, or hey, I got this modifier for the wand that like splits the projectile in two, so it shoots 2 fireballs, or stuff like that. But I'm here to talk about one main thing, which is game scale and like the total size and generally what the map is. So the game starts you off, it's really hard to see on that screen, to the mouth of a cave. And so, you know, true gamers do one thing, they move forward, so they go enter the cave. and takes you to the first area. So this is just a screenshot of the first area. Honestly, not that big. If you saw like the screenshot of like, you know, you're the little wizard guy right next to the mouse button, you know, it gives you controls, whatever. I forgot. I think it's just called the mines is the first area, and you know, you get to the bottom. Let me walk over this cord and have to enter through one of these portals, and you go down to the next area, but down below, and like, kind of get the pattern of just enter a portal, go down, new area, new stuff to find, new enemies to fight, go down again, another area, and that goes on for 7 areas until it takes you to the final boss of the game. So it goes, what is it? Mines, coal pits, snowy depths. I don't know how to pronounce it. They're Polish. Underground jungle, vault, laboratory. Most early game runs start here. I say early game because you are going to die a lot. This is a roguelike. That's going to happen. Very punishing. If you die, you have to restart. I have seen runs go for 10 hours. Not just here, but I will cut to the next slide. Oh, also, every single time you go down a layer, there's like, oh, health upgrade in. Get your spell slots back because some spells you cast infinitely many times, and some spells you have like spell slots. I played D&D, that's the word I use. Anyway, so if you didn't go into the cave at the top, there is more map. A lot more map. So I know they have sub-area names. I'm generally just going to name them Snowy Chasm and Desert Chasm because that's what the main areas are of the left and right. Completely optional. You don't have to go there to defeat the final boss. That red box up there was this screen. So generally, why I'm pointing this out, it rewards exploration. You go down and you could like beat the boss normally, or you could get upgrades, get more stuff, get more health upgrades, get more wands, you could carry around potions of different liquids. But then if you decide, okay, I could go left and right or down, but some people who may have played the game before or are more observant, there's a little sky island up there, so you wonder, what's up? Well, there's a lot more up. So those are the sky islands, more enemies, more wands, very expensive spells because there's currency in the game. There's like, you see like, it's hard to see. There's like a yellow square on the right, that's all gold. You could farm gold there and whatever. Now, we are not done. Epic transition. There is hell in this game, and the only way you could get there is by, I think there's a teleport there, or you could go through the lava, which is, you have to get a perk to like make it so that you don't die to lava or find some sort of way to navigate that. Other than that, that is the entire world map. However, when you get to the leftmost and rightmost side of the map, there is something called extremely dense rock and then corrupted rock. Corrupted rock will hurt you if you touch it or where it once was. You cannot normally navigate this without certain spells and certain movement. And extremely dense rock you can't normally break without very certain spells like black hole, or I think some explosions can do it, I don't remember. Anyway, when you break those, you enter parallel worlds. Oh, and the arrows didn't keep over. So that red square is where you started for the first area, and these are just 2 parallel worlds. There are infinitely many as long as your computer can run it. Anyway, what I was going with this is that, rewards exploration. If you think you can do it, you probably can. Along with parallel worlds, however, there are New Game Plus mechanics that reset the map upon completion. And this is a game with like multiple endings. You have to do, I think, New Game at least 28. I could be wrong. I don't know. Cool game, rewards exploration. Exploration is important. I'm starting to realize a pattern between why I like Outer Wilds and this so much. Games with exploration are sick. I guess that's it.
Are the developers sadists?
They're Polish, I think.
Oh.
Well, what's the joke? what is the creator of Ultra Kill? I know.
These, I think, Finnish.
Finnish? I don't know.
They get bored up there.
The Europeans,
They get bored in
man.
Europe.
The Europeans.
This is worse than Tarkov.
Apparently.
Terraria feels awesome. Alright.
Well, who would like to go next then? Like, I'm not gonna okay, you're going to go. Okay, sweet. It's like I'm not gonna do like gun to your head scenarios. It's just whoever wants to.
Lone fungus.
Yes. This game is called Lone Fungus. This is a Metroidvania. Obviously, very big Hollow Knight inspirations. And we'll get into it. There are a number of things that I really like about this game. As you can see listed here, it's got really nice progression, I think. It's got pretty crazy platforming. The combat is pretty well developed. I like the art style, and it's very whimsical, which is the most important of the five. Yeah. So first of all, this is the majority of the map here. You can see you've got a ton of different areas. It's generally a pretty big map. I don't know how it compares to Noida, but and basically the objective of the game is to go around, collect all the different spells, and so that you can bring back the race of mushrooms. And the game does progression just very well. Like this area down in the bottom corner, that's the underground, and there are like 3 different ways to get in there, and all of them require like 7 different abilities. But those are non-overlapping. Like there are a number of ways to go throughout the entire game, but it's extremely non-linear, but not like Breath of the Wild where you can just rush straight to the end and ignore everything. Like there is a lot of development of your abilities that needs to happen, but it can happen in any number of different ways to see every part of the game. Okay. Part of that is the platforming. There are a lot of abilities in this game, as you might have guessed. One weakness of this that I mentioned later is that there are lots of buttons, but if you get good at it, there's a lot of stuff you can do. It's been compared a lot to Celeste for its platforming, like it's a lot of movement-based momentum-based platforming, and a number of different environmental mechanics in addition to your normal movement. And it's got Hollow Knight pogos as well. So yeah, all around just a great fun combo. The combat is pretty nice. The bosses are all generally pretty well designed. It's got a charm system and the aforementioned spells that you can customize. So there are lots of different ways to approach combat, and the neat thing is, it's not the easiest game, but it's not the hardest either. So you can kind of just use your favorite strategy for whatever you want. And if you throw yourself at it enough, eventually it'll probably work. All right. The art style is very nice. It's not, the best of the best, but it's a very charming pixel art style. It's easy to make. This game was made by one dude. And yeah, I just think that's pretty neat. And finally, it's a very whimsical game. This guy is the Flaming Bean, and he's the best enemy. There's also depicted here as Barry. It's just got so much charm to it. I think it's a very underappreciated game.
What's the context of corrupted falafel?
I will not tell you.
Okay.
My bad. Bro, my bad.
Barry is friendly, mostly. The game does have some weaknesses. The dialogue can be a little stiff sometimes. It kind of falls into the Metroidvania stereotype of, oh, you're in this post-disaster, post-apocalyptic world trying to uncover what's happened. Yeah, which can get a little annoying if you play a lot of Metroidvanias. And again, there are kind of too many buttons. Lots and lots of abilities to keep track of, which can get a little overwhelming at times, make it difficult to master. But it is pretty rewarding once you do. And that is all I have. Thank you very much.
Honestly, it looks pretty cool.
Sweet. Alrighty. Okay, we done that one. We did that one. Okay. Who wants to go next?
I guess I'm going.
Adam time.
Oh, God.
Okay, let me.
Gotta get motivated.
Yeah. Okay. So I play a game called Deadlock. I don't know if y'all have heard of it. There we go.
I haven't heard of it. What's it about?
I'm gonna get to that. Oh my god. Also, apologies. I made this presentation in like 10 minutes before I drove here today. So this presentation is about why Lash from Deadlock is awesome, and also why Deadlock is a game, I guess. Next slide. So what is a Deadlock? It's kind of like League of Legends if it wasn't buns. So who all here knows what League of Legends is? Raise your hand.
I don't. I have no
I thought
idea.
I played League of Legends with
I
you.
have no idea what League of Legends is.
Okay,
I
okay.
know it, but I don't play it.
Why are you trying to spread like lies about me? I would never play that game.
It's also a crime that you're not related to Dota 2 since those both made
Okay, Dota 2 sucks. That's just not. I hate it. I don't like it. We don't talk about Dota 2.
What's a League of Legends?
It's kind of like Deadlock.
Okay.
If it was buns. Anyway, I'm stalling. Sorry. So if you don't know what is a MOBA? Raise your hand if you know what a MOBA is. Okay, so most in here. So I'll do a pretty light explanation. You got a couple lanes, and each team has a base. Destroy the big guy in the enemy base, and you win. And the whole point is that like you start out really weak, you start out small. It's kind of like an RPG, and you like grow and you farm and you get big and strong, and you got spells and items and all this crap. Deadlock has it. League has it. League kind of sucks though.
What does MOBA stand for?
Multiplayer online battle arena. It was actually just a made-up term that Riot made so people stopped calling League a Dota-like because they got their feelings hurt. Yes. So MOBA kind of means nothing because a lot of games are multiplayer online battle arenas. I know, right? So why is Deadlock not a hero shooter? The most common complaint that I get, like that I hear from people about whenever they're trying to get into Deadlock, is because they're like, "Oh, I thought it looked like Overwatch, but it was really not fun, and the time to kill was really weird." It's because it's not really a hero shooter. It's a MOBA that's in third person, and you also happen to shoot with heroes. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. Anyway, I do understand why the confusion is there. Just looking at this, like, oh, this could be mistaken just for any other shooter, but it's not. But all that aside, I want to kind of get into some other aspects of why I like Deadlock. One of them being it has a really cool art style. It has a lot of cool graphics. I know you can speak to this because you were like, oh wow, Deadlock has such cool art style.
I said the typography was cool actually, but nice try.
Oh, okay. I guess I misinterpreted
Not
that.
to steal your thunder. Every character has their own unique little like logo for their name.
It does. They do. Had I had time to prepare for this, I would have showed you, but I'm not going to do that, so I can't.
You can pull it up at the end.
Yeah, sure. But I like Deadlock a lot because it has a very cool art style. It kind of has a sort of Art Deco 1940s kind of spooky cult art style because the whole idea is that you're in New York in, I think, 1949, and there's all sorts of supernatural stuff. It's like where all the magic and stuff is explained. And I don't know, it's a really cool theme. I think it's very different from, X hero shooter
cough cough Overwatch or what was it? High guard slop, you could call it. Okay, well, if it wasn't slop, then why is the game shutting
I
down?
bought 200 copies.
What? Okay. Anyway, so I've gloated about the art style. Why? I guess I haven't really said why I think Deadlock is great. I'll get there. But I specifically want to talk about my boy Lash here. He's my main amazingly designed character. I love him. So, what is a Lash? So, if you look at his description in game, it's one single line. That's all you need to know about him. Jacob Lash is an asshole. That's it. That's all the description that you get of this guy. And what Valve meant by that is that he's an asshole. So if you play the game, he looks like an asshole. He plays like an asshole, and he talks like an asshole. All of his voice lines are just making fun of all the other characters, saying how he's better than everybody, and he just is very gloaty. And every time someone kills you, they'll always say like, "Oh, dude, you got what you deserved, asshole." And it's a really funny bit, in my opinion. Another thing, his whole kit is designed around pissing people off. That's why I love playing him, and he can't even be mad about it. Because that's just on purpose. See, whenever I play League of Legends, every character pisses me off because it's designed like crap, and it wasn't intentional, and it makes me mad. But whenever I play Lash or I'm up against a Lash, I'm like, oh, it's just Lash. How can you hate Lash? That's just what he does.
Not that I've played League of Legends, but I do know that there's a couple champions like Shaco who are designed to piss you off.
But they aren't charming like this guy.
That is true.
Basically, then?
Hmm?
He's just a troll hero then?
Yeah.
The archetype.
Pretty much. Let me talk about Lash's movement kit. So he is very much a movement-based character. That's kind of why I like him so much. That's a big strength of Deadlock over League of Legends because it plays a lot with movement. There's dashes, there's wall jumps, there's all sorts of stuff. His first ability allows him to kind of hook on to an enemy or an ally. So if Lash here is standing here and he uses his ability on Mr. Blibbly right here, it will launch you straight up into the air. So now like you're flying through the air up here and you're like, whoa, this is so cool, I'm flying through the air. You can get in and out of a lot of cool situations with this, and you have multiple charges. What?
Not visible at all.
Yeah, we can't see it. I have to turn the light back on.
Yeah, I mean, that probably
that will help.
I don't think it
This
will.
is really bad chalk. I'm gonna be so furry.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, now you can see it.
Okay, you can see it?
Yeah.
We're good?
You can see the blibblies.
A little bloob. Anyway, it feels, I can show a video here in a minute, but his movement, every ability moves him somehow, and it feels really good to pull off combos and to kind of string that together. His second biggest ability is his ground pound. So he has an ability where if you press it, it immediately hurtles you towards the earth like a meteor, and the higher you are, the more your damage scales. So if you can chain these little hooks, these little lashes, you could say, you can do a ton of burst damage all at once. And furthermore, his ultimate, if you're up in the air, his ultimate only works in the air, which is really cool. You got a bunch of angry enemies that are just kind of sitting here, all down here and stuff. And if you're up in the air and you push his ultimate, it kind of like beams a cone down here, and you can lock on to up to the entire enemy team actually, and you can just move them somewhere else. Usually that's into the loving embrace of your teammates' arms, so you can just kind of curb stomp everybody all at once. And also, whenever you toss them at the ground, you don't go with them, you stay up there, so you can go ground pound them again. And it's like, boom, and it's really awesome. And then people will often kind of rage in chat, and I'll talk about that later. But it's okay because that's just him. It's just good old Lash, you know. Oh, also, I don't know if you can see it. He has sparkles. Like there's a little sparkle. Yes, they did. For a time, his sparkles were removed. They just patched that like yesterday. Yes. Oh yeah, his parry. They updated the parry animation. I'll show you. Actually, can I just look that up? Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to give a brief explanation of the melee system then?
Yes.
Do the characters have weight associated to them, so they fly further if they're heavier?
Some of them do actually.
Yes, some characters have lower gravity than others. Lash has normal gravity, except for whenever he's using some of his abilities. It kind of like lets you float around, and it gives you extra air control. Where's your Windows key? How do I get out of here?
The escape key.
Stupid.
What? You wouldn't do that on Windows.
But there's no Windows button.
Oh my god.
Kind of seeing a theme with you liking Team Fortress 2.
Yeah.
Movement mechanics thing.
I'm a sucker for movement mechanics. Are you worried about your YouTube
Type in
recommendation?
YouTube and just click tab. Or just click tab now, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I don't think anything pull up, just like, I don't think it like put on blast. There could be a stray League of Legends video that pulled up for
Boom.
some godforsaken reason.
It's gonna do it.
Oh, it's muted.
Yeah.
No sound.
It doesn't matter for this specifically, but yeah, he's so freaking muscular that whenever someone tries to melee you and you parry, he just goes like, ugh! his massive, awesome pecs just deflect you. Oh, this is so unserious. I'm sorry. Oh, okay, I did this out of order. My bad. Okay, so the last point I wanted to make with Lash is that every single one of his voice lines, like he speaks in the third person, he's like, the Lash is the best. You can't handle the Lash. All that kind of stuff. So whenever you are feeling cocky in game, you can just hop on text chat or voice chat and just start being a very... I caught myself. You can just start being a very unsportsmanlike person, and nobody can get mad at you because you're just doing a bit. You're just playing into your character.
Charisma.
Yeah, dude. Lash got mad Riz, bro.
I'm cutting you off, bro.
Okay.
So Valve doesn't police this?
I have seen so many obscene things said in Deadlock voice chat. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
The only thing that the police is leaving matches.
Yes. I think they might have a moderator on the Discord server, but from what I've seen in the fan art tab, I don't think he does a lot.
Anyway.
Okay. Any questions about Lash? Yes.
What are your thoughts on Bebop?
I hate Bebop, bro. Pisses me off.
I mean, it's a cool genre of music.
Yeah. And he also is a cowboy.
Good one.
Were you into MOBAs before this?
I have played my fair share of unwilling League of Legends. My high school friend group forced me to play draft pick for the last couple of years, and now that this game exists, we don't have to do that no more, which is very nice.
What don't you like about Lash? Is there anything you don't like?
That
You have to think about it.
yeah, it's just I don't like the one thing I don't like about Lash is that I don't always get to play him sometimes because so many other people want to queue him, you know.
Not enough Lash to go around.
It really is.
I mean, he's a big guy. That's surprising. There should be more enough.
I would think.
That is what I'm saying. Though he does get countered kind of easily. If the enemy team is competent, you do have to spend or invest a lot in counter items, just because whenever he's doing his ult, kind of a sitting duck. But at higher levels of play, you can kind of play around that, which I, of course, am already playing at because I'm the best at Lash in North America, obviously. Yeah, that's it. So, oh yeah.
I know you compared it to League of Legends, but just looking at it, looks like a Marvel Rivals ripoff.
See, and if you go into this game like it's Marvel Rivals, you will not have a good time because, yes, the movement is kind of like a shooter like Marvel Rivals, but the entire gameplay and objective and balancing loop is just like League of Legends. You have waves you have to push, you have power scaling, you have to constantly farm jungle. There's all these little intricate little systems that people will overlook if they don't go into Deadlock thinking it's a MOBA.
It's like comparing Fortnite to Doom.
Levels,
Yeah.
econ management, item counters, all that sort of stuff.
Economy is huge, and like the biggest complaint I've heard is that the time to kill is way too high, and that's true. It's a MOBA. Yes.
Do they have a matchmaking system at all, or is it like if you're brand new, you get your ass handed to you? Everybody hates
They
you.
do actually have a matchmaking system. They try to kind of hide it and pretend like it's not there, but there's a sub menu you can go onto your profile, and every single match you play will contribute to what most people would see as like a ranked skill rating. But there is no unranked mode, so it's just your skill rating. So yes, there is matchmaking.
So people hate you when you're new? Is that a thing?
I mean, you just get put with other little newbies, so like it kind of balances itself out. Oh, also, the game does keep track of how good you are at a character compared to your skill rating. So if you try a character for the first time and you're a super high rank, it'll still put you in like medium to lower lobbies until the game figures out how you play with that character, which is really nice. Yes.
You did the Final Fantasy one?
I played
Okay.
a little bit on release.
I went through a couple hours.
Which one do you want to do it? Okay, Ben, you're going. I had no idea.
I'm like the Final Fantasy person.
Alrighty.
All right.
I need to do that's not the right way to do that.
Oh my goodness.
What is happening? Among Us. Screen. Why did it do it that way? That's not how.
Do you want the
Why is it still switched?
my mouse? Hello, little mouse.
I saw it for a second.
It's in the middle.
Where?
It's at the bottom right.
Apple moment.
Okay.
Apple moment.
No, this is just
There we
mirror
go.
display moment.
Okay.
So I need Apple Windows.
So you probably saw this coming if you know anything about me, but I'm going to talk about Final Fantasy II. That's the second one. So Final Fantasy II was released in 1988, but it wasn't actually released in the U.S. until 2003 on the PlayStation, and they didn't have an official international release of the original game until 2021, which they made for Windows. And Final Fantasy II is not the same as Final Fantasy II from 1991, which is actually a completely different game and has no relation. Final Fantasy II 1991 is actually Final Fantasy IV. Because there's a whole story there. They were going to bring Final Fantasy II over, but the time it took for them to make it, they were already on 4, and so they just took that one instead, and since they hadn't released 2 or 3 yet, they just renamed it to 2, and then they did the same thing with 6, which they renamed to 3, and then they got to 7 and said screw it, and they just went to 7 and have kept going since, and have retroactively gone back and fixed the naming. And it was given the Best Scenario Award by the Famitsu magazine in 1989. Across all the different versions and releases they have, the game ratings are usually between 65 and 90. So not a bad game. Some of the versions are not as good as others, but yeah. So it is a JRPG. So you follow a group of kids, because it always has to be kids, and the Empire of Palamecia summons a bunch of demons and monsters, and then they attack everyone, and then you guys, your parents are killed, and then you are killed, which is a great start to a story. But then you are revived by the Wild Rose Rebellion. But then your friend Leon is missing, and you don't know where he is. And that's the setup. And then classic RPG shenanigans ensue. Things happen. You go kill God. All good things. But the main thing I want to talk about actually is the progression. So Final Fantasy II is unique for the series because they don't have experience points levels. Like every other entry in the series does, classic tabletop RPG stuff. But instead, for Final Fantasy II, they opted for whenever you use a skill in combat, you have a chance to get better at it. So if you equip a sword, you use the sword, you have a chance to get better at using the sword, so you'll do more damage and be more accurate. Same thing if you were to use an axe, then you get better at using the axe, do more damage, have more accuracy with it. When you take damage, you have a chance to increase your maximum health. When you cast spells, increase your maximum magic points and like magic damage. When you dodge an attack, you have a chance to increase your evasion, so on and so forth. So your party adapts to how they actually act in combat. So it's not just like, hey, I leveled up, I get like +2 strength. It's like, oh, I'm actually using melee attacks when I'm playing the game, so I'm going to get better at using melee attacks. So it kind of adapts to specifically how you are playing the game. There is kind of a downside here with this specific implementation, if you can kind of notice, particularly with evasion. In order to actually level up the skill, you have to use it, but you can't control who the enemies attack, and you also can't control if you dodge. So particularly in the case of evasion, it's kind of useless because you have no control over it, and it will kind of go up a little bit probably as you play the game, but it will never have a significant impact.
Is it statistically possible to like just like could keep raising it and then you can just get like just be like impossible to hit?
I don't think it doesn't scale that high,
Oh, okay.
which is another reason why it's like completely useless in the actual implementation. But there are other games that have this sort of like use the skill to level it up type of system. I can't think of any specific examples, but I know I've played them before. Yeah, like Skyrim is a good example. But when I initially played Final Fantasy II, I was kind of like hesitant to it, but I actually really like how it responds to you and how you actually play. Yes.
Is there an issue where people just like optimize the fun out of it and just like farm their stats?
You can actually, because you can target your own party members, so you can absolutely power level your combat stats by just like killing yourself against an enemy that can't hurt you, and then you can get a bunch of skills points for that. So yes, you absolutely could do that if that's how you want to play the game. They will not
Surely
stop
there's
you.
consequences for doing
Well,
that.
you hurt yourself, and so then you have to heal, but you can just cast healing spells, which will then make your healing spell stronger. So, like,
Wow.
you can see the way they implemented this specifically is a bit of a, it was kind of novel for the time, but it's kind of a bit of a mess if you actually look into it. The other thing, because I'm a music person, so another thing that kind of sticks out to me is the soundtrack. So it was made by Uematsu Nobuo, who made all of the songs for the early Final Fantasy games. Specifically for Final Fantasy II, the original NES tracks do not really hold up, in my opinion, compared to Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy III. Some of them are good, like it has one of the best like battle themes, but just across the board, they just kind of fall short. But when they made all the remakes and they made all the reorchestrations for the songs, I think that the reorchestrations of the ones from 2 are the best of the original NES songs, which is kind of interesting. So to kind of illustrate that point, I have some of the songs here. So this was the NES version. It's from 1988. But obviously, that's not like a bad song at all. But that's also the area theme for the final area. So that's also kind of the climax of the game. And compared to like Final Fantasy 1 and 3, it just is not. It doesn't really have that like impact that I would want from it. But then if we look at like this is the PlayStation, so the original one they brought over to the US. So obviously, to some extent, that's just like technical restrictions. Obviously, you can't play that on an NES at all in any capacity, but you can play that on a PlayStation. But compared to like what they did for when they brought Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy III, that's probably one of my favorite songs that they did for those versions of the games, actually. And then also they have the international release. It's not incredibly different. They made it like longer with more variations as it loops, but it's basically just the like basically the same, just like real instruments this time. So I'm kind of like nostalgic for the more like synthetic PlayStation 1, but it's also like still really good arrangement of the song. And so yeah, that's what I have to say about the soundtrack. If you want to play the game, you should play one of the remakes exclusively for the better soundtrack. But so overall, I give the game like an 8 out of 10. But in terms of like comparing against Final Fantasies, it's probably like a 5. There's many better ones. There are definitely worse ones, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of worse Final Fantasies than Final Fantasy II. But there's also plenty of better ones that you could spend your time playing if that's what you want to play. But just as like a JRPG, it's good, if old.
One more. So, yeah. It's just about 7 now. We have one more Cole's gonna go, and then we'll kind of wrap up then.
Come on, Cole.
Unless you really don't want to. I mean, like.
It's okay. Like we understand.
It's a little
You know,
rushed.
Navigating the confusing MacBook.
Yeah.
It's really unintuitive in its
It
design.
is.
It was yours was a cross.
Yes.
Oh wait. This one. Yeah, there we go.
Alrighty, mine's a bit shorter, but I'm talking about Enter the Gungeon. There. Title screen's a little dark, but as a banger song, if you've ever played it. First thing I'd like to talk about are the items. On the far right there, you can see all someone's tier list for all the items in the game. Those are more supplemental things that can affect your guns and such. But a lot of the items have pop culture references. There's a quick little description of some of them. So you can see there's some from a lot of other video games. So got Metal Gear Solid, you got Mega Man, you got Binding of Isaac, Duck Hunt, but they also have some references to TV shows. So one of them is like a level 7 Laser Lotus, which if any of you guys have seen the TV show Community, that's a banger episode. Not even listed here are all the weapons. A lot of them have cool little gags. So right here, that really blurry pixel art is a shotgun shell, but it's actually a gun that shoots guns. So it's kind of like the flip of what you'd imagine.
There's
Yes.
also the letter gun that spells out words and shoots the letters.
Yes.
The thing it said.
Yep.
Also, I disagree with this tier list. Why is Monster Blood so far down there? It gives you an extra life. It's a passive, and it makes you immune to poison. Why is it C tier? Why is it C tier?
Because you can dodge out of the poison, and if you need an extra life, that's a skill issue.
Do me like that, man. Only human.
But yeah.
Get sued?
What?
Did they get sued for this?
I don't think they did.
Awesome.
It's just references.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure on all the licensing, but I'm pretty sure references like that are fine. Talking about progression, so obviously, as you progress, you can get different weapons. These laser lines are like one of the guns you can get. The items you can get and also other guns can synergize together. Synergy is a huge thing, and so over here, if you have these items, or one of these items, and this gun, damage is increased by 20%, visually bleed, and there's a lot of different synergies you can get, and a big part of the meta progression is learning those synergies. As you pick stuff up randomly, you can see what synergies are formed with what you have, and I believe there is an increased spawn rate for the synergized weapons. So if you got like the Crueler Glaive, you'd have a higher chance of getting the Ring of Chest Vampirism and such. Another big part of meta progression is dodging. So here you can see a lot of bullets, and if you don't dodge those, it's a skill issue. And so a big part of progression is just learning the different bullet patterns and learning how to dodge them. I believe the developer, they made this using Unity, and because their bullet mechanics and movements were so complicated, they actually had to make their own scripting language. Forget the name of it. It's something bullet, I think. But next, bosses. So after you clear a floor, there's a boss you have to defeat, and so here's some images from some of them. All of them have these cool little arts before you fight them. So like the Gatling Gull, he's a bird, but then he just like flexes and all his feathers fly off, and he's just super jacked. That was the first dude the first boss I encountered, and so once I saw that, I realized what type of game it was. But then they also have a lot of puns with their names. So the Gore Gun. Here, this snake one is the Ammoconda. There's King Bullet up there. Cannonball Rog. And so these are just a few of the bosses. As a roguelite, the bosses are random. There's 5 floors, and the bosses, there's like 3 bosses per floor that you can encounter. Yeah. And then secrets. Minor spoiler alert here, but I didn't actually know how to do this, so I kind of had to look this one up. But there's on the 4th floor, I believe, there's kind of like this big empty black pit that you're like, I have no idea how to cross this. And so one of the things with one of the base guns is when you shoot it, shells will fall out of the gun and land on the ground. And so if you shoot enough times, the shells will fall on these invisible platforms and reveal the way to one of the items you need for the final boss. Additionally, there are secret floors for every floor. So in addition to the 5 normal floors, there's 5 hidden floors. And on those floors, they have secret bosses like the Resource Rat. He's kind of a recurring character that if you leave an item on the ground in a room and then you leave the room, he'll come and just steal it. And so, yeah, that's all I had. Any questions?
I remember I just used the jetpack item to cheese that room. I didn't even know that there was a
Yes.
visible path.
There's a lot of cheeses you can get by the path. There's like a water gun that you can just shoot, and if you have a certain item that, I think it's the Frosty Bullets, it will turn the water to ice, and then the ice will go out all over the path, and you can see it that way as well.
Alrighty. Well, I hope that was a little bit fun for everybody. personally a fan of this meeting just because I think it's a really good opportunity to like kind of be able to critically kind of dissect games that we like. I think it's really important to kind of be able to know like why we may like or like dislike something about a certain game. And so being able to kind of talk about that, have a little fun with it too. Good time overall. So, well, not Bloodborne again. Okay, so click your slide. Okay, so just a couple quick reminders. Oh, you're seeing the wrong one. My bad.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't see that. Okay. Again, next week is spring break, so we will not be having a meeting. I hope everybody enjoys that. We'll be back here again on 25th, same time, same place as normal. If you have a concept or game idea or something like that you want to show off at the beginning of the meeting, don't be afraid. We'd be more than happy to let you have a little time to do that. And again, Game Jam is going to be April 10th. It's going to be at Bessie 2226. Be there, be square. Just saying. So, without further ado, go forth, make games, and be awesome. So, thank you guys. Also, thank you everybody. Recording. Gulp.